All right, so we're going to go through this problem now, number 8. This one just looks really crazy because of this weird equation, but the steps are going to be exactly the same. And then there's just a few extra things that I want to show you. This is a push for some of the stuff that we learned a while ago, but we're going to walk through it together, and then you can practice it on the next example as well. So first step, again, we're going to find the x-coordinate of the vertex. Well, this is one where you're going to want to find the average. So -4 plus 6. That equals 2. And then you divide that by 2 because you're finding the average. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we know right here at 1, somewhere along this, where x equals 1, somewhere along this vertical line, this is the line of symmetry, somewhere along that is going to be our vertex. But we just don't know where yet, so we need to go ahead and do our second part of this, which is take this 1 and plug it in to this equation. Now, forget for a second that this equation looks weird. We're going to start it off exactly the same. So we're going to go ahead and do our y equals, we'll do our parentheses 1 squared plus 2 parentheses 1 minus 24. All we're doing is plugging 1 into this equation, and then we just have this big all over 5. Okay. So you can still type this into the calculator, but there's one other thing that you got to add. The way your calculator reads the divided by, it's not going to know if you just type all this in that it wants you to divide everything by 5. The only way you can teach it to do that in just one step is to put all of this in parentheses. So what I mean is the whole top of the fraction, if you put this in parentheses and then divide by 5, your calculator will understand that. But it won't understand if you just hit the divide by 5 at the end of this. So that's how you want to type it. So you just want to add that second set of parentheses. Okay, and then you'll get to practice this once. Like I said, this is a little bit of a push problem. Cool, so let's go ahead and see if we can put this into our calculator. And I already have it here, but let's do it again together. So we're going to just type this exactly like this. So parentheses, parentheses, 1, parentheses squared, plus 2, parentheses, 1, parentheses, minus 24, parentheses. Let's start there. So parentheses, parentheses, 1, close our parentheses, squared. Okay. Then plus, oops, plus 2, parentheses, 1. Always just make sure it's looking right. Yep, that looks good so far. Minus 24. Oh, see, added an extra one. That's okay. Minus 24. Then you're going to close your parentheses so you have that whole thing in its own parentheses. Okay, finally, you're going to then divide by 5. And look, your calculator even makes it look correct. So then, perfect. It divides the whole thing by 5. If you weren't to use those parentheses, look what happens. It would be like, hit divide by 5. All it does is divide the 24. That's not what you want. You want to make sure the whole thing is in parentheses. Then you can hit divide by 5. So it's just a calculator thing. You got to know that's how your calculator reads fractions. You can put the whole thing in parentheses if you need to divide it all by 5. And we got a decimal. That's okay. -4.2. So let's finish this up. So y equals -4.2. -4.2, which means that our vertex is 1, comma, -4.2. Okay, so we're just going to go here and we're going to estimate where that is. So 1, comma, -4. It's not going to be -5. It's going to be like just a little bit after -4. So somewhere about here. Remember, this whole thing we're just sketching. We're not, getting a perfect graph because we don't know what happens in between all these 3 dots as well. But we do know it's going to go through that 0, through this vertex, and then back through this 0 in a curved fashion. And it's okay if it's not perfect, but something like that. There you go.